The ballroom glittered with gold, the chandeliers spilling soft light over champagne glasses and expensive smiles. Guests in designer gowns and tailored suits swirled across the dance floor, oblivious to the girl quietly seated in the corner, Amelia Blake, daughter of tech billionaire Charles. Blake sat in her motorized wheelchair with her hands folded neatly in her lap. She wasn't bitter. At least she told herself she wasn't. Weddings were supposed to be joyful occasions, yet here she was, treated like a forgotten shadow, ignored by cousins, classmates, and even the bride, whose veil shimmered with pearls Amelia had once gifted. Amelia's condition had changed her world. Paralyzed from the waist down after a hiking accident 2 years earlier, she had quickly seen her social circle vanish. Friends stopped calling. Her fiancé left. Even family members didn't know what to say anymore. Tonight was her cousin Emily's wedding, a lavish event hosted at a private estate her father had helped fund. Everyone thanked Charles Blake, toasted to his fortune, and admired the aesthetic grandeur, but not a single soul had truly seen Amelia. She sat, beautiful in blue silk, her presence barely acknowledged past the occasional polite nod. She tried to make peace with her solitude, sipping orange juice through a straw while watching others live freely in their moving bodies. Her father had already returned to a conversation near the wine table, surrounded by executives and venture capitalists. Her mother, as usual, fluttered between guests, making connections like she was at a business gala rather than her niece's wedding. Amelia knew the game. Their world was image-driven, in a room where beauty and power mattered most. She was now labeled a quiet inconvenience, a reminder that even billionaires couldn't control everything. And then she saw him, a young server dressed in a crisp white button-down and black vest, weaving through the crowd with practiced grace. His name tag read Ryan. He looked different. Not just handsome, but present, like someone who saw what others missed. Their eyes met briefly as he brought a tray of hors d'oeuvres to a nearby table. To her surprise, he paused, turned toward her, and walked straight over. "Would you like something, ma'am?" he asked gently, tilting the tray toward her. She blinked. No one had offered her anything all evening. She nodded shyly. He bent slightly and helped her select a bite-sized tart with a quiet warmth that didn't feel performative. "It's peach and goat cheese. Not everyone's favorite, but it's underrated," he added with a wink. She smiled despite herself. "Thank you," she said softly. For a moment the room didn't seem so loud. "Do you mind if I come back in a bit? I've got a few more trays to run," he asked. She nodded again, and he gave a respectful half-bow before walking away. Her heart beat a little faster, not from romance but recognition. He had actually seen her. He returned twice over the next hour, each time with something new. Mini quiche, sparkling water, and eventually a napkin folded into a tiny origami bird. They chatted in short bursts. She learned he wasn't a full-time server but a community.college student, working weekends to pay for his tuition. He wasn't embarrassed by his job, nor overly impressed by the wealth around him. "People pay thousands to eat salad on gold forks," he'd said with a grin. "I think kindness is a better currency." She laughed. It was the first time all evening she felt like herself again. Her laughter didn't go unnoticed. An older aunt leaned in to whisper something disapproving to her mother. 2 bridesmaids glanced over and smirked. Her father narrowed his eyes at the server from across the room, but Amelia didn't care. Ryan returned again, this time standing beside her for longer. "You know, you've got the most self-possessed aura in this room," he said. "Everyone else looks like they're auditioning for approval." She raised an eyebrow. "And what do I look like?" He smiled. "Like you already know your worth. People just forgot how to look close enough to see it." They were interrupted by the band, beginning a slow waltz. The floor filled quickly with dancing couples, including the bride and groom in the center. Ryan turned to her. "Ever been offered a dance in that thing?" he asked. She chuckled. "Not since the accident." He paused thoughtfully. Would you allow me the honor of a first? She hesitated, then nodded slowly. He took her hand and knelt beside her chair, not leading her to the dance floor, but moving with her, guiding her hands, spinning her in place, turning her wheelchair gently in rhythm with the music. People stared, some in shock, others in discomfort. But Amelia didn't see them anymore. She was laughing, spinning, her curls bouncing, her heart finally rising, above the weight of pity. Ryan guided her with reverence, not as someone broken, but as someone worthy of joy. Her father stepped forward from across the room, clearly disturbed. Her mother tried to pull him back, but Charles Blake marched toward them, interrupting the dance with a sharp voice. "That's enough," he said. "She's not here to be your entertainment." Ryan stood up calmly. "I wasn't entertaining anyone. I was dancing with her." Amelia looked up at her father. "He's the only person who treated me like a human being tonight." Her voice was calm, clear, and unshaken. The room quieted. People turned to watch the standoff. The bride stopped dancing. Emily looked embarrassed. The moment stretched like a tightrope, every eye fixed on the confrontation. Charles hesitated, then turned to Ryan. "What's your name?" He asked coldly. "Ryan Carter, sir," the young man replied. "Well, Ryan Carter," Charles said slowly, "you've made quite the impression." His tone was unreadable. Amelia squeezed Ryan's hand, not sure whether to brace or exhale. Later that evening, after guests had thinned and the music softened, Ryan approached her one last time. "I don't want to get you in trouble," he said. She smiled. "You didn't. You reminded me who I am." He lowered his voice. "I hope you don't think this is out of line, but would you want to talk sometime, outside of all this?" She looked at his outstretched hand. It wasn't flashy or polished. It was steady, real. "I'd like that," she said. Nearby, her father watched in silence, a mix of confusion and something deeper etched on his face. Back home that night, Amelia sat by her window, the moonlight touching the keys of the dusty piano she hadn't played in months. Her world had cracked open, slightly. She thought about the way Ryan didn't flinch at her chair, didn't shrink in her silence, didn't treat her like less. Her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Hope you got home safe. Thank you for dancing with me." She stared at the words, a smile spreading. For the first time in 2 years, she didn't feel forgotten. She felt visible, and more than that, she felt alive again. As dawn broke over the city skyline, Charles Blake stood in his private study, watching security footage of the ballroom. He replayed the moment his daughter danced. He watched her laugh. He watched Ryan's face, not opportunistic but sincere. A low sigh escaped his lips. For all his billions, he hadn't been able to give Amelia what this stranger did in one evening. He tapped a few keys and pulled up Ryan Carter's file. Community college student, no priors, raised by a single mother. Orphaned at 15. Clean record. He closed the file. Then, for the first time in years, he smiled. 2 weeks after the wedding, Amelia sat outside her father's office, waiting. She'd asked for a meeting, something they hadn't done since before her accident. Charles Blake wasn't the kind of man who got summoned, but today he made time. When she wheeled into his sleek, glass-walled space, he looked up from his desk, surprised by her confidence. "I want to talk about Ryan," she began. His brow furrowed. "He's not part of your world, Amelia," she smiled. "Neither is silence. Neither is being invisible at my own family's event. But he saw me. Isn't that worth something to you?" Charles studied her. "You've always been strong-willed," he said, "but strength has limits." She didn't blink. "So does isolation. So does ignoring what your daughter needs." He sighed, rising from his chair. "What are you asking?" She tilted her head. "I'm not asking for permission, just understanding. I like him. He listens. He doesn't treat me like I'm fragile or pitiful. He's decent. That's rare, Dad. For a Moment Charles was quiet. Then he walked to the window, hands in pockets. "Invite him to dinner," he said finally. She blinked, stunned. "What?" "One dinner," he clarified. "Let's see what I'm missing." That night, Amelia texted Ryan. "Dinner. My place. My dad will be there. Brave enough?" He replied, "I'll bring my best manners and a backup exit plan." She laughed, nervous and excited. When Friday arrived, Ryan showed up in a clean button-down and second-hand blazer. Charles greeted him with a nod, not a handshake. The evening was slow at first, tense conversation about books, school, and the economy, but Ryan didn't posture. He answered with honesty and ease. Charles listened more. Then he spoke. And when dessert came out, Amelia's favorite lemon tart, Ryan looked at her, then at Charles. "She deserves better." Charles raised an eyebrow. "Better than what?" Ryan didn't flinch. "Better than being invisible, better than people, whispering when she rolls into a room, better than pity, disguised as support." Amelia held her breath. Her father didn't interrupt. Ryan continued, "I don't come for much, but I know how to recognize value when I see it. And your daughter, she's brilliant, funny, tougher than she looks. I'm not here for your money, sir. I'm here because she matters." The silence stretched like a wire. Then Charles stood slowly, walked to the liquor cart, poured a whiskey and said, "Fair enough." After Ryan left, Charles turned to his daughter. "He's raw, but he's not wrong." Amelia smiled. "You like him?" Her father sighed. "I don't trust easily, but I respect what I saw." He walked over, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "I failed you after the accident. I didn't know how to show up. Maybe he's the reminder I needed." She blinked back tears. "I just wanted to be seen again, Dad." He nodded. "Well, now you are." It was the first time since her fall that she felt her. Father wasn't mourning who she'd been, but honoring who she was. Over the next few weeks, Ryan and Amelia grew closer. They met at parks, visited local diners, watched bad movies, and laughed over ice cream sundaes. With him, she wasn't the billionaire's daughter in a wheelchair. She was just Amelia, a girl rediscovering joy. He listened when she talked about rehab. He didn't interrupt. When she cried over losing her mobility, he celebrated her wins, like transferring herself into a car seat without help. He never treated her victories like charity. He clapped like they were triumphs, which to her they were, and she adored him for that. But not everyone approved. A cousin sent a text, "You could do better." A former friend posted a vague status mocking girls who date the help. Even her mother sat her down one afternoon, pursing her lips. "I know you're happy, sweetheart, but this relationship, is it wise?" Amelia folded her arms. "Because he's not rich, or because he treats me like a person?" Her mother hesitated. "It's just people talk." Amelia smiled coldly. "Let them. I've been talked about all my life. This is the first time I don't care." And she didn't. Not anymore. Ryan, for his part, felt the pressure. He overheard whispers at events, guests assuming he was the driver, colleagues joking about bagging a billionaire, even classmates questioned his motives, but he stayed grounded. "Noise isn't our truth," he told Amelia once, holding her hand. "They don't get a say in what we build." She squeezed his hand tighter. "I don't want perfect, I want real," he grinned. "Good, because perfect is overrated, but real that I can do." And they did it together, honestly, imperfectly, beautifully. Every moment stitched with truth, every smile earned, not given. One afternoon, Charles surprised them. He invited Ryan to a board meeting, not as a guest, but as an observer. "I'm testing something," he told Amelia. "Let's see how he thinks." Ryan attended, taking notes silently, asking sharp questions after. Executives were skeptical. "Who's the intern?" one whispered. But by the end, even the CFO admitted the kid's got sense. Charles watched it all, expression unreadable. After the meeting, he turned to Ryan. "You ever consider business?" School, Ryan shrugged. Didn't think I'd get the chance. Charles nodded. I'm not offering favors. I'm offering an opportunity. You interested? Ryan smiled. Yes, sir. That night, Ryan sat with Amelia under the stars. Your father's scary, he joked, but he listens. That's more than most. She leaned against him. He's learning, like we all are. She looked at the sky. Do you ever wonder why this happened to me? He was quiet, then said, No, but I wonder how many people would have folded, and how rare it is to see someone rise instead. She smiled. You really believe that? He kissed her forehead. I don't date pity. Projects Amelia. I fall for women who fight. And in that quiet space, they both knew it was love. The next time Amelia returned to the family estate, she wasn't alone. Ryan walked beside her, not behind. The same people who'd ignored her at the wedding now offered smiles and handshakes, but she wasn't there for them. She was there for herself, for her future, and for a man who had spoken up when no one else had. At one point, Emily, the bride from that night, pulled her aside. I was wrong, she said. Softly, you deserve to be seen. You always have. Amelia nodded. I don't need your validation, but thank you. She meant it. Growth mattered. Months passed. Ryan earned a scholarship. Charles offered mentorship. Amelia launched an online platform for women with disabilities. It exploded in popularity. Her TED Talk, Power Without Pity, went viral. She became a voice, not because she wanted fame, but because she finally knew her value. Ryan stood by her through it all, not in her shadow, not in her spotlight, but at her side. He once told her, You're not here to inspire pity. You're here to rewrite the story. And she did. She rewrote it every day, with strength, with softness, with truth. Then came the gala, the same estate, another chandelier-lit room, only this time it was in her honor. Amelia Blake Foundation, the sign read. Celebrities attended, journalists covered it. Charles introduced her with pride. She is my daughter, he said, but more than that, she is my teacher. When Amelia wheeled onto the stage, applause filled the room. She spotted Ryan near the front, beaming. I was once ignored at a wedding, she began. Tonight, I'm not here to be seen. I'm here to see all of you who've ever felt invisible. Let this be the night your story starts over. Later, after photos and speeches, Ryan pulled her away from the crowd. You're a force, he whispered. You're my favorite chapter. She smiled. And you're the footnote that changed everything. He knelt, not as a performance, but from instinct. And from his pocket, he took out a simple ring. No promises of perfection, just this. I will never let the world ignore you again. Will you marry me? She gasped, breath stolen. Then she nodded, tears spilling. Yes, 1,000 times, yes. And in that ballroom, under the same chandeliers, the girl once overlooked became the queen of her own story. A few feet away, Charles Blake turned his face slightly. He wiped the corner of his eye unseen and whispered, She finally danced again.